Hey, everybody. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Black and Gold podcast, brought to you each and every week by Boonshine Brewing Company. They're trying to make the high country a better place and to help Boonshine, and they're doing a great job of that. Want to tell everybody about their specials here: the barbecue chicken flatbread, garlic oil base topped with barbecue chicken, red onions, jalapenos, Parmesan cheese, and finished with a drizzle of barbecue sauce, which I think goes good on pizza, depending on what the makeup of the pizza is. And then the salmon BLT, toasted sourdough stacked with grilled salmon, house made lemon, dill, aioli, crispy bacon, fresh lettuce, juicy tomato. It looks really good. Looks really good. That actually would be a bad lunch right there, Charles. What's your take on barbecue sauce infused pizzas or flatbreads?
Infused or just barbecue sauce as like your base instead of like a mozzarella? Is that what we're talking about here?
We mean a marinara. Yeah. So like what's your do you have a take on barbecue sauce on pizza?
Yeah. So absolutely, I would love the idea of experimenting with whether it be pizzas or flatbreads, and whether you have a salty marinara or more of a sweeter.
Mm.
Whether you use like a white sauce, like as a white, we can do a white pie, barbecue sauce. You can just do straight up Texas Pete.
Mm.
Maybe even get a little duck sauce if you want an Asian inspired
Ooh,
pizza. Just do lots of
yeah.
little different things. And yeah, so if you want to put barbecue sauce down instead of like your red marinara, then throw some red onions and shredded chicken.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
it's like three different cheeses, your choice.
Mm.
Make it look real good, and you got to put some bacon bits on there.
Oh yeah.
Little barbecue chicken pizza kind of idea.
Yeah, and then the red onion on there. Nice little
Yeah, the red
compliment, nice
onion.
little
Yeah,
crunch.
red
Oh
onion.
yeah.
You want to put something else in there, certainly can, and
Yeah.
that's where you got to go. That's
Yeah, for sure.
I love that idea.
See, the way Boonshine does it too with those flatbreads, you can experiment with different styles and not feel like, you just order like a 16-inch like experimental pizza. You have your nice little flatbreads. If you don't like it, it's okay, but you could be a little more aggressive and try new styles of pizza that way. And it looks really good. It's really awesome. So go check it out. Um, okay, new week here. The basketball season's officially over here. We're very sad about that. Baseball and softball still roar on, and we're going to get to, uh, of course, other things here. But let's start off with basketball here. So basketball, um, we end up losing uh, in not the best way. I mean, we kind of are touted for our defense, and we didn't play great defense. We lost Alonzo Dodd to a gnarly injury. I'm not sure if it's come out yet what he has, whether it's just a straight up broken ankle or what. Lose 86-73. Um, it really got away there in the second half of the first half. I guess you say the second quarter of the actual game. Alonzo Dodd went down. That was huge, Charles. That was just a
Hmm.
big deal. Um, I think you can make an argument. You can make an argument that uh, Case and Jennings or Alonzo Dodd or Luke Wilson were the MVPs. I would give the tilt to probably Alonzo Dodd because I think he was a great passer. He could drive better than anybody else on the team. He was great around the basket. Um, and then he could shoot threes. So I don't know. He just became that leader. I'm not saying those other guys weren't, but and he provided a certain air on the court, and that was bad. Him going down. I think that was really kind of the coffin, the nail that sealed the coffin there. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that just losing him in that ball game, in the score, you could say, yeah, you lost by 13. Alonzo Dodd's gonna make up 13 points. I don't know. I mean, that's a fair argument or fair pushback, but it's still really big losing arguably your most important player and leader.
Yeah, so you consider, with Portal and everything, you have three starters who are seniors: Ed Carson, Alonzo, and Jalen Tott that were playing lots of minutes down the stretch. And but even though Alonzo Dodd was, a senior and he was a transfer, he was a tenure transfer, right? So it's not a 1 year, not a 2 year guy. He was kind of like a little bit of the heart and soul of the team because he'd been around longer than anyone, and that was going to be tough to recover from when you had a lot of the teams struggling early with shots going down or understand where their positioning was in the post or unfortunate foul trouble. He was the only thing we had going. I mean, he left in the first half. He played 16 minutes. He scored 15 points. So he was getting to the rim. And that was pretty much it. Aaron Banks tried to fill that, but it just wasn't. They're not the same player. And it just felt like once that happened, it was going to be hard emotionally to like get yourself back into it, especially considering this wasn't just what appears to be like a twist or a sprained ankle or something that he could have like maybe retaped and got back into. I mean, he was on the bench in the second half with a boot on, and he was writhing in pain. And when you are wiggling and squirming like he was on the court, it's a pain that he has never felt before. And all basketball players are worried about they don't have their ankles, they don't have anything. And so because that's where that game starts. You're always jumping up and down around people, and you're going to land on a foot every now and then, and there's just nothing you can do. I've certainly have my share of twisted ankles and turned ankles, and where you feel like your ankle bone, the bone that, the ankle bone is what we'll call it, but the bone that sticks out on the right-hand side of your foot hits the floor.
Yeah.
That ain't a good feeling. You don't want to hear that. And it is not fun, but
yeah,
this tournament turned into, we played a Southern Miss team that was actually hot down the stretch and probably the worst matchup we could have had. Although, you look at it and say, well, they were 9-9. Well, they were actually decent down the road in February. And I think we matched up better against the Texas State team who we had just played, we're familiar with, and didn't play as well away from San Marcos. So we got the wrong end of that. And, then you've got Southern Miss who wins several games. You have Georgia Southern who goes all the way to the title game. This was basically what this tournament turned into. Was someone gets hot, someone makes a run, and Troy wins the title. Troy gets to play a team who was on their 5th game in 5 days and their 6th game in 6 days. Couldn't have set it up better for them. All they had to do was win 2, and that's why winning the regular season title was important. And that's what this conference was all year. None of the results surprised me because it was so tight. There was going to be a lot of disappointed teams, more than usual, who thought they had a chance to go into March because there was so many teams that finished in second place. Yeah. And we were certainly one of those. Felt like, from what I heard, is the team took it pretty hard, and they had a chance. And you can't predict an injury. That's part of it, but it just felt like we didn't wake up. Southern Miss was in a rhythm. They were playing their 4th game in a row, and all they had to do was go and just keep doing the same thing they had done night after night after night. And they're down there winning games, and we haven't even gotten to Pensacola yet.
Yeah,
that's what's weird about this tournament. And there's a lot of talk about ultimately the tournament did what it wanted to or the conference got what it wanted. It got talk about a team running the gauntlet. And it got the top team in, who was quote unquote the best team in the conference, however you want to say that. And it created some buzz, but at the end you had 6 teams who finished in second place, were very likely to have had good chances to win the tournament, and a lot of teams went down there and went one and done. Yeah, and I don't think that's what the intentions are in the middle of the tournament, to have all these decent teams lose, because that doesn't become the story, of the tournament. That the story is the Cinderella part, and that's what March is all about. So it's unfortunate end to our season.
Yeah, it is. I'm really bummed. I do think though, like this is part of why college basketball is in college sports. I mean, this is kind of like a college sports thing. College basketball is really frustrating and glorious at the same time, because a lot of it doesn't make sense, because we won the Sun Belt tournament. Granted, it didn't have this particular bracket set up. But we won, and we shouldn't have. we came limping in 2021 to this tournament. We had missed 2 weeks. Our team was up in a hotel and we we lost like 6 games in a row or whatever. And then we won 4 games in a row, played our butts off, but against 4 very different teams and won the tournament. And in pro sports, you certainly get upsets in pro sports, but in college it's just, you got Southern Miss, like you just had said, we were their 3rd day in a row playing. And we were fresh, and we talked about this on the show. We're not as deep. Our guys were playing the high 30s. Our core players are playing the high 30s, and we're really only playing 6 or 7. Chad Moody's in there somewhere, and Aaron Banks. So anyway, I just knew that the advantage was going to be, hey, they're playing on their 3rd. We're coming in fresh, got to rest up a little bit. But college basketball doesn't always have that. You got to account for the weirdness of college basketball sometimes, because so many of these teams were close to being even. You just alluded to that. Southern Miss got hot at the end of the year, and that just did not look like we were the ones that had the rest. It looked like Southern Miss. They played like the ones that they had the rest. And if you said next year the tables will be flipped, you'll play 3 games in a row, against the top, 4 seed or whatever, I'd say, no, I don't want that. I still want my days off or whatever. I think I still would roll that dice. But yeah, it really sucks. Because big picture is Coach Kearns and that staff keep putting competitive teams out there, and the makeup's totally different, and we keep hammering it. And I just feel like I'm saying the fan base, not you, Charles, or me. But I feel like the fan base did not pay enough respect, especially students, for this team or what they did this year. Because with what we've lost since 23-24, and then Miles and CJ, and the development of Luke Wilson, Alonzo Dodd, and bringing in Case and Jennings, and these players, I just think like I don't know, man. 10 years ago, we would have been doing cartwheels and backflips over a top 4 seed in a tournament, winning 19 games a year, and the staff's doing it with so much turnover and having to go find that star scorer, that grad transfer, trying to milk it as much as possible. Man, I just feel like the team's let down a little bit, honestly. Not in a huge bottom dropping off way, but I get that you have to allocate time and resources and whatever to promoting, the sports that are most important, being, football. But I don't know, man. I hate this team lost, the one and done thing. I'm a little sour over that. And we just need, Coach Kearns is a awesome coach, and it's so hard to do what him and this staff, because that staff works super hard too. He's got a great set of assistants. For them to go in every year, they're gonna have to do it again. They're gonna have to go find, 2 more guards, right? And I don't know what their plans are with everybody else. I'm guessing Jakari Brim and Jason Clark they're counting them to come back. I have no idea what's going to happen. But man, this basketball team is doing something special every year, and we've counted for 7 years like we're going to be a competitive basketball team this year, and we have been virtually every year. I think one year, I think what was it, 22-23, maybe wasn't great. But I don't know, man. We're hovering around 20 wins every year, and that's pretty awesome, considering what we have to go through as a mid-major that doesn't put a lot of money into basketball. I just think Coach Kearns does a great job.
Yeah, we certainly get a lot out of our resources on that end. I do feel like there's some for the first time this year, there was a little bit of outrage of the idea that can't get over the hump enough, and
yeah.
I don't quite understand that, considering when you look at our history, we've got 3 NCAA berths, and Dustin Kearns has one of them. Yet let's criticize the one who got us there. I don't quite get that, or criticize the play, or criticize the style, or whatever it may be. And I think for a couple of years now, we've had this end of March, and we've kind of looked to the future and said to ourselves, man, what do we got coming back? Have those guys gotten better? Will they develop? You know, and who will we add? And there's always, you know, everybody's doing that in nowadays. It's not that's part of the new world, and Coach Kearns continues to put a good product on the floor.
Yeah.
And now there's some that'll, you know, also say that, you know, we were 19 and 13, we stretched like we did last year. We fizzled out beginning of February, and then we got back to, you know, outside of that we played, you know, basically, but certainly would have loved to have gotten to 20 wins. But 20 wins, you know, I don't care how many wins we have during the season, as long as we give ourselves the best chance at, you know, playing a strong tournament. Winning 3 games in your conference tournament is not a lot to ask, in my opinion. So we were right there. 3 times, and certainly Marshall knows all about that. Marshall lost to Georgia Southern 3 times this year. Finished number 2 in the conference.
Yeah,
what a wild year! How much parity we talked about this conference had all year. It's kind of crazy, and it just played out as it was. But yeah, you wonder, you know, you lose Casey, and you're gonna lose Jalen Tot, you lose Dodd. You're gonna have, you know, Luke Wilson and maybe even to an extent Michael Marcus Jr. fighting off of the other schools who are hungry. You've got Aaron Banks, and you got Jason. At this point last year, certainly turned out to be our leading scorer, and that's always great. And I would say that, you know, if we look back from a year ago, that if Luke Wilson was going to be almost a double
guy,
you'll take it. So don't hate that. Had a good year, and hopefully we can improve.
Yeah, man.
Have another successful season.
Yeah, for sure. Charles, your internet's super choppy. Can you hear me okay? No.
Not that great.
All right, we're going to pause and reshuffle some stuff without sitting here umming and awing on YouTube. So hold on a second.